garden friends. I am out in the cut sunflower garden that I've been growing since April, and I'm about to harvest the first of my cut sunflowers, and I want to show you some tips for how to extend the life of those cut sunflowers and to make the easiest cut from the garden. So let's get going. Hi, my name's Landon Gilfillan from Pepper and Pine Garden Design, and I've been doing a series this past season on a couple of things: growing corn from seed, a Three Sisters garden, and right next to it, my succession planted cut sunflower garden. I have been starting these plants since April 21st, so that's almost up to 3 months. We're about at, today is July 14th, I believe, and so we're almost at that 3-month mark. Some of these are going to grow within 60 days. The next bunch that I did, this bunch here was done from a botanical interest bouquet mix, so it took them a little longer to get going, but they are ready to start harvesting today. So I wanted to bring you along to show you how I'm going to harvest them, the best way to get a clean stem, and what you can put in the water to make sure that these blooms live the longest they can, whether they're for you or whether you're selling them to someone else. So let's get started. As you can see behind me here, these plants are probably about 5 foot tall. I'm 5'6", so they're standing, about shoulder length, if not a little shorter. And it's a little later than in the morning than I wanted to harvest them, but mornings are busy and sometimes I can't get these videos filmed at the primo time. So ideally, you want to harvest these in the morning before they fully open. When they're about where they are right now, not fully open but not closed, is really when you want to harvest them, because it'll give them more time to open and be enjoyed in your vases. So I'm going to try to bring you a little closer. It's kind of a jungle in here. So it'll be interesting to see if I can get the camera in, and I'm going to show you how I get these off the stem. But as you can see right now, I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I can harvest today, and these will be going on our dinner table today, which is really exciting. First of all, whether this harvest is for you or someone else, you want to have a bucket of water ready to put these flowers in as soon as you cut them, so they can be taking up that water and prevent any wilting. Additionally, you want to add a CVBN or a chlorine tablet to your water before you put them in. It's ideal to have that already dissolved in the water. That's like a big version of those little packets you get whenever you buy flowers at the store. And what that's going to prevent is spoilage of your water and your plants. I've done some looking around for these CVBN tablets. The best place that I have found them is the Gardener's Workshop. You can also find them on eBay, Amazon. I think I've seen them on Walmart. You're going to see also the pool tablets that you put in a pool, those chlorine tablets for your pool. I cannot give you advice on buying those and how much you would use to do for flowers, because I haven't seen a good ratio out there yet. So if you can find the CVBN chlorine tablets for cut flowers, that's what you want to get. I have someone that wants to be in the video with me today. Those tablets are helping prevent the enzymes and the breakdown that happens whenever the minute you put that stem in the water, it's going to start releasing enzymes and other constituents that's going to allow the stem of that where it was cut to heal. But what it's also going to do is pollute that water and cause it to get slimy and gross. So in order to prevent that and to prevent bacteria from taking over, you want to have that CVBN tablet in there. And it's also going to allow those blooms to stay prettier longer. So that is what, you don't have to have it, but if you really want to extend the life of your sunflowers, it's really highly suggested to add that to your water before. Now, I apologize for the lighting and the framing on this. I wasn't able to get my lift for my camera tripod in here because of all the other flowers I've got growing, as well as my watermelon vines. So you're going to have to kind of bear with the footage here, because I'm going to try to grab the plant and shave off the leaves before I cut it, and I need 2 hands to do that. So that's the first tip, other than waiting. Well, actually, I guess that'd be the second tip. The first tip is to wait for the bloom to be about like that. Not fully opened, I'd say about halfway opened. I would not collect them when they're closed like this. You could, but I feel like you get a better flower when you wait for them to look a little bit more like this, not fully open, but on their way. So this is what we're going for this morning, about this size. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the stem before I cut it, and I'm going to literally go down the stem and get all those leaves off, except for the first flower that's right, for the first leaf that's right here, I'm gonna leave that. So I might only I might have 2 leaves here once I get it stripped, but I'm only gonna leave 1 leaf with the flower for putting it in a bouquet. So here we go. I'm trying carefully not to step on the flowers that are in here. So I'm gonna grab this flower, and there is a squash plant trying to grow up it currently. I take my hand and I'm running it from the top to the bottom to get all those leaves off. And because these leaves get like a blight kind of spot on it, I don't know if you can see it on the camera there. There's a good example. I don't want to leave these on the garden bed because I don't want to have disease decompose into the dirt. So I'm going to set these aside, and these will go in my burn pile if they have any of those brown spots on them. And then I'm going to take my very sharp scissors and I'm going to cut fairly low on the stem. So there's my cut sunflower. Now I could leave 3 stems like that if I had a smaller vase, and I might, and then I might get inside and go ahead and strip these. But generally I'm gonna leave 1 or 2 flowers right there around the flower head so that they're not taking up the space whenever I have multiple flowers in my bouquet. And I'm gonna drop this right in the bucket. Let's get a couple more. And what's great about this succession planting is that it's really allowing me to open up some space in here for these squash plants to continue to grow, and the sunflowers, they'll be ready here in the next week or so. I am taking a look around while I'm in here and removing other spotted leaves like this on any of the other plants that I may not be harvesting today. Anything to help extend the life of those plants or the plants around them, I don't want that to spread. So if I see leaves with spots on them, I remove them and I put them in the burn pile. I have one last flower to get. This one has been open for a couple of days now. It's kind of in a way past its prime for picking, but these are just going on our table so we get to enjoy them. Isn't that beautiful? If you haven't been following along these videos throughout the season, I just wanted to give you an overall look here of this cut sunflower bed that I've been growing. You can see now the tallest flowers there. Those are the ones that are from botanical interest. Because they're a bouquet mix, a mix of different sunflowers, their growth rates are different. So I won't be doing that in the future because they develop at different times. What I ended up doing was buying a bunch of pro-cut sunflowers that'll be ready to harvest in 50 to 60 days. So the next couple rows of flowers will all be developing around the same time, so I can get one whole cutting that I can sell to friends or enjoy myself. And then the next row will be ready in the next 10 days, and then the next row will be ready in the next 10 days. I'm trying to succession plant these sunflowers every 7 to 10 days, mostly every 7, but sometimes life happens and it takes me a couple extra days. So I actually just planted a row yesterday, and I'm gonna plant another row today. That's a week behind, and they're over here where we harvested all of our potatoes. They're gonna be going along this fence line, and I will continue to do that up to about 50 or 60 days from our first frost date. And even if those plants go to waste, I just want to make sure I have a continual harvest of sunflowers. Now you can go back and watch these videos here to find out more about how I'm spacing them, how I'm succession planting them, what types I'm growing, things like that. But here it is behind me, and you can see the kind of stair stepping of the oldest to the youngest. And again, I did start these from seed indoors on April 21st, and then continued to start them indoors every 7 to 10 days and plant them out at about 2 or 3 weeks old. One last set of flowers I wanted to show you before I close out this video. I love planting sunflowers along my north fence line in my gardens. They end up just being a beautiful backdrop to the whole garden that we can view from our house, which is over there on the south side of the garden. I would not want to put these on the south side because then they would block the sun from anything going over there. I do have sunflowers sparsely planted on the south side, but that will not shade the plants over there. These are all on the north side so that they are not shading anything to the south of them. I hope that makes sense. But all along this fence line and all along the fence line on the other garden, I have these lovely sunflowers and they have all started to bloom. So I'm going to harvest some of these, and there's just one really cool one I wanted to show you before I do. So these are about the size. This one might be even a little big. These are perfect sunflowers for cut bouquets. They're about 4 inches across, and that is really what you're looking for if you're wanting to sell sunflowers. Most people aren't going to buy the huge heads to put in their bouquet. Sometimes they will, but the more closely you space them, the smaller they'll be. So that's why these look the way they do. But aren't they beautiful? These have single heads here, but this one down here, I don't know if it mutated or what, but there's like, what did I count? 6 heads on this one stem. Is that not the coolest looking thing? So I want to cut this. I've enjoyed it in the garden for the last couple days, but I want to take it inside and enjoy it on my table. So I'm gonna have to cut it right here so I don't ruin these other flowers that have grown. So I'll have to maybe even put it in a vase on its own. But I'll cut it right here, and then these other branching sunflowers can continue to bloom, or I can cut them right now because they're the perfect size to go with the other ones I cut. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut these that are right at this stage, and I'll leave the rest to bloom. And these are called branching sunflowers, the sunflowers that have multiple stems and multiple flowers on off the main stem. Sometimes you'll have the single sunflower, and then you'll have the branching like you see here. Along with that, you can see right here in the elbow of this stem and branch, there are little baby flowers about to grow. So if I want to make sure and harvest those, I don't want to cut the stem below there. So I'll either have to cut it here and have a short sunflower in a small vase, or I can just leave it to enjoy in the garden. So be sure you're watching if you have these branched sunflowers, that you're not cutting off future growth that will happen right here in the crux. So just be aware that you have, again, 2 different types of flowers. You've got the branching where multiple flowers will come from the stem, and then you have the singles. So I do not want to lose these flowers, so I'm going to leave these or cut them right above. So here is one of my lovely little bouquets from the second set of flowers that I cut. And these will just go in a small vase somewhere in my house. But I love that poppy yellow. So pretty. I think I'll probably put them in a blue vase. And of course, these beauties. And you can see how the leaves can kind of be impinging on the presentation you're trying to make. That leaf especially is really big and will probably come off. But these are going to be beautiful on our table. I love the different colors, especially when this big, dark purplish red one opens up. I'm really excited to get these on our table, and I'll make sure and include the final picture. So this has been a lot of fun. It's an experimentation for me because we really want to have a booth at the farmer's market next year, and I would love to be able to sell cut sunflowers. So I wanted to kind of experiment this year, get a feel for how it works, so that next year I know what I'm doing and I can sell these beauties at the market. So if this video has been helpful to you, or you've enjoyed the content, consider subscribing, consider sharing it with someone that you know might be trying to start a sunflower or cut flower garden. And as always, my name is Landon Gilfillan here at Pepper and Pine Garden Design, growing gardeners and their gardens, and I'll see you in the next video.